Alright, today we're here at Metal Form and we're gonna do a water change on all of the tanks. We guys wanted to talk about the process of the water. Whenever we do water changes, any water we add to it, like any of this water we add to it, that water, you can't just put that directly into the tank. It's not safe for the fish or shrimp. But anytime you add any water, you're going to want to add some of your prime, and you want to read the directions on it. It works out perfectly for exactly the dosage it says. I don't modify it. Takes out the chlorine and chloramine, which is the most, it's what a lot of cities put in their water to clean it for us, but it's not exactly good for shrimp or fish. So this will help that. And also take out some ammonia and other stuff. And you can use this for extreme cases if your ammonia spikes or nitrate spikes, but you really want to use only in extreme cases if you have to. So we'll do that, and then whenever we're draining the tanks, because what I usually do is I usually fill up the tank or fill up the gallons in there, or the buckets in there, and Tyler comes in here and he uses this hose right here, and he puts one in here, and this end has to be lower than the tank or lower than the water level you're sucking out of. You put that in there, then you just get a small suction here. You don't have to suck it all the way through till you get water in your mouth. You just give it a small suction and it'll start pulling it through, basically using gravity to do the work for you. And then we usually do about probably like a 25%, which is usually like right around here.
Yeah, right around that.
And then we add the water that is primed and ready directly into there, and we usually keep the temperature right around the same. You don't want to get too hot because that'll definitely hurt your fish. It's okay if it's a little cold because that simulates the nature how it rains, because usually it's a lot colder. But they're almost never gonna get hot rain. That's just something that's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
So don't ever put just hot water in your tank. That would just hurt. That's not gonna do you any good.
Yeah.
But we'll start this up in the process just so you can see how it works whenever we're actually draining the tanks and filling them up. All right. So after we get the gallons and buckets filled up with water, they sit for about 5 minutes to soak up the prime and to let Tyler do his job. But I find that letting them sit for 5 minutes is like about optimal for the prime getting out all the chlorine, and it lets the temperature settle down. I do put, in the summer, I put a little bit of ice in all of these before I put it in there, just because the water comes out so hot out of the tap that it's actually warmer than in the tanks, and that's what we don't want. I want to get the water really about probably 2 degrees colder than the tank, but no more than 5. You don't want 5 degrees colder or anything more than that, because that would just shock the fish. And then whenever I pour the water in, I always put my hand in the tank, so that way whenever I'm pouring the water, I'm pouring the water actually on my hand, so that way it doesn't mess up all the sand and substrate on the bottom. And that will just make it to where the water stays cleaner and doesn't get as cloudy when you're doing your water change. And it'll stop from any unnecessary gas bubbles from popping up. So this is what the tanks look like whenever we do the water change. That's about a 30% on this one. We have some crazy filtration on this one, so we don't do as much. We overfilter the hell out of this tank because we just have so many fish in there, and we also keep a lot of plants in there at all times. It's a little bit light right now because we just did a fish sale, or I'm sorry, plant sale and shrimp sale. So I'm going to be adding some more plants in throughout the week. But I wanted to show Tyler. This is how he does his thing. We get this bucket here. I don't know how much water this holds, but it holds.
I would guess about 32 gallons.
Yeah, holds quite a bit. But I find it's just about perfect for this size of operation.
Yeah.
Probably eventually going to get all this plumbed in, so it's not as hard. But for now, this is what we do.
That's real easy. You just get one end in the tank, the other end.
And you do not suck it until you get water in your mouth. You don't need to do that. That's stupid.
And it's something that, if you have really curious fish like these mollies, watch for your intake, because they will try to come up and you can't actually suck on them or suck at babies or something.
Yeah, and if it's a big molly, it could totally kill one. That suction's actually really hard.
Yeah, so it's something just to be mindful of where you're putting your hand while you're cleaning. Oh, I have it at my finger, and that's why it's in there.
But so a lot. He's real cautious to make sure he didn't get any baby fish, because we have those everywhere, and shrimp. But what he does is we have sponge filters in all of our tanks because the baby shrimplets like to eat on them. But you want to make sure that you clean your sponge filters at least like once a week, or at most once a month. But I do mine once a week, and this is how we do it. We just kind of put the hose on it and suck on them a little bit, and it gets a lot of the ammonia and nitrates out of it. Wow, there's a pleco that got in there somehow.
Of course.
I'll get him out. But anyway, but we do that, and then also he goes around the bottom picking up all the a lot of fish waste and a lot of like food that the fish just didn't get to. But and this tank will be next. But
and shrimp usually are pretty good about getting out of the way. You might suck up a couple if you can't corner them, but usually they're pretty good about not getting sucked up.
Now we have just a sheer amount of shrimp in here. We have so many that there'll probably be a few sucked up anyway. But we do our best to get them out and pick them out before we drain the water off.
Yeah.